Hey guys, it's Dr. Justin Marchegiani. We're going to do a quick video here getting to the root cause of migraine headaches. We're going to talk about the physiology, what's driving that, and natural functional medicine solutions that get to the root cause. Before we do, make sure you smash that like button. Do a lot of live videos like this, and if you subscribe, you're going to get notifications so you can be part of the video. All right, put your comments down below. Let me know what's worked for you to kind of help support your migraine and or headache issues. So let's dive in. There's a lot of different causes for migraine headaches, right? You have a lot of, the Imitrex medications, NSAIDs, different things over the counter to get to the pain, treat the pain. And that may be okay in an acute situation, but what's the root cause? You really want to think about what's driving the underlying root cause of your headaches, of your migraine headaches, so to speak. Now, been in clinical practice well over a decade, seen 5,000 plus patients, and migraines aren't that difficult to fix. There's a couple of core root cause issues that if you get to the bottom of them, you can have major improvements. So one of the first things that I see is dysglycemia, making your blood sugar go up and down like this throughout the day due to one, not eating enough protein and fat, eating too much carbohydrates, or just skipping meals altogether. That can cause this dysglycemia, that just imbalances in blood sugar. The more your blood sugar surges up and down throughout the day, you have different hormones that get released. So on the way up, when your blood sugar is surging, you're making a lot of insulin from your pancreas to bring that blood sugar back down. And when your blood sugar crashes back down, you're actually making cortisol and adrenaline to actually bring it back up. And so you're constantly surging your adrenals and pancreas all day long, and that can create inflammatory issues. Number two, just the inflammation in your food. The more inflamed you are, right? Think of your stress bucket as your ability to handle inflammation. The more you're putting inflammation in through your foods, that's going to be a big problem. So, one of the big inflammatory foods is gluten. Gluten is going to do different things on the inflammatory side. It can take these carotid arteries here, right? These are the garden hoses up the side of your neck, and it can actually constrict them down, and that can decrease blood flow to the frontal cortex. There was one study where they cut out gluten in patients, and they noticed 90%, 9 out of 10 had a significant improvement in their migraines. Now, it's not just gluten. You got to cut out all grains to begin with. Most people, when they go gluten-free, they still eat a bunch of rice, a bunch of corn, a bunch of oats, and that can sometimes cause cross-reactivity, and your body still sees it because there's a resemblance between your brother and your cousin and your sister. Even though it's not you, there's still going to be a genetic resemblance, and your immune system can see that. So inflammation in food. So gluten and grains are just one of those. You could also look at things like dyes and coloring. Salicylates a lot of times can kind of be in that camp. Salicylates can be even in healthy foods. So I don't recommend cutting everything out. I recommend looking at the individual, seeing where I think their big stressors are. And I just start with the core foundational things and work our way up. So blood sugar is one. The inflammatory foods like the gluten. We could also add in junky vegetable oil fats, canola oil, safflower oil, soy oil. These are all going to be major issues in causing inflammation. Excess omega-6 fatty acids are going to increase your prostaglandin 2, and that can drive more inflammation. Gluten, processed sugar, flours. I also see too, when I chart a female's full month-long cycle, a lot of times we'll see migraines come in at certain times of the month. It could either be something that's premenstrual, so right before you're about ready to menstruate, you could see it then. You could see it around ovulation. A lot of times, if I run a month-long cycle on a female patient, we'll see these significant drops in estrogen can actually drive a migraine headache. So we can use different herbs to kind of curtail and help with the signaling upstream in the pituitary, the FSH and the LH. That can help kind of curb out the signaling, so we have those better flow throughout the month, not these big ebbs and flows. We can even use DHEA at certain times to kind of actually help balance out that estrogen. We could use like things like like maca or feminescence. I use that a lot to kind of help modulate the estrogen receptor site. That can be helpful. If we see a lot of imbalances in estrogen detoxification, like let's say we see 2-methoxy, 2-hydroxyestrogen pathway that's off, right? That's a sign that we're not metabolizing estrogen well, or we see different sulfation pathways off. We may just be supporting good detoxification so we can better clear out estrogens that are coming in environmentally. Now, they could be coming in because you're eating the Impossible Burger, right? The soy, junky processed food burgers. It could be from not having a good RO filter for your water, and you're getting estrogen exposed to your water. People don't realize it, but the conventional water system, right? All the women that are on birth control pills, they're peeing that hormone back into the water supply. That goes through water sewage plants. They're not getting estrogens out of that water. Unless you're running it through a really good whole house activated charcoal or an RO filter, you're not getting that out. And so you could get homeopathic microdoses of that in. As a guy, that's not good. As a female, it's not good. So you want to filter that out. Obviously, plastics, avoid that. Anything heating in plastics, plastics aren't awful if it's like in there for a day or so and it's not in the in a higher temperature in the UV light. But ideally, just get in the good habit of having like a clean canteen or a stainless steel kind of water bottle. Or I drink, these throughout the day, Topo Chico in glass. You can do like Mountain Valley, Gerald Steiner. You could do Topo Chico. You can do Pellegrino, all in glass. Much better way to do it. I have an RO filter in my home, and it's a 5-stage one. I also have a whole house activated charcoal. So I double it up just to be safe. I also like to make sure my shower water is good. And so I do the whole house just for that reason. So water is going to be a big one. Also, pesticides, you're going to get exposure to estrogens because a lot of pesticides are organic chlorines, which have like an estrogen backbone. So that can be a big source of estrogen as well. And so we'll use herbs, we'll use DHEA. Obviously, eating organic cuts out the dyes, the preservatives, the colors, the polysorbate AV, the MSG. It cuts out the aspartame. A lot of those things could be involved as well. But if you just go organic and you eat the whole foods and you really get your macros dialed in, those are automatically cut out anyway. So that's a good thing out of the gates. I would say next thing is I do see gut bugs and gut infections can cause inflammation. Anytime you create inflammation in your gut, it activates your immune system. 80% of your immune cells live there. So if we calm down what's going on in the gut, we chillax that immune response. Also, we absorb all of our nutrients in our gut. So we need good, healthy hydrochloric acid enzymes, good levels of good absorption from our small intestine to absorb the nutrients. So that's a big thing. We have to have good small intestine, good stomach acid, good enzyme production from our stomach, all very, very, very important. So you got to really look at it, get to the root cause. Also, if we don't have beneficial bacteria in our gut, let's say we have a lot of dysbiosis, we have a lot more bad bacteria than good bacteria. Bad bacteria actually adds toxic load to your body. You're going to see things like lipopolysaccharides, endotoxins, mycotoxins produced by the bad bugs in your gut. That could put more stress on your body as well. Also, beneficial bacteria ferment really good nutrients. Ferments vitamin K, certain B vitamins, folate, B12. So you actually get nutrition from your good bacteria. Said another way, your good bacteria eats poop and then poops back nutrients. Bad bacteria eats your nutrients and poops back poop. It poops back more toxic load on your system. So you want to look at this whole thing holistically. Again, there's never just one cure, right? There's always multiple causes to why someone may have an issue. Someone, it could be spread out evenly across many different things. Someone, it could be all just gluten or all just grains, right? Supplement wise, there's some good supplements that I will plug in to these other root causes. Again, it may not be the root, the one thing, but it can be helpful. So supplementing magnesium glycinate or citrate can be excellent. Malate's excellent too. Using an herb called feverfew can be very helpful for supporting blood flow up to the brain. B6 is a really important one because B6 is a really important neurotransmitter. It's a really important cofactor in those neurotransmitter synthesis. And a lot of the medications, they're SNRIs or some SRIs can be helpful for migraines. So some of the amino acids like 5-HTP, like tyrosine, in the conjunction of B6, because that's a rate limiting cofactor, can be very helpful as well. See, we get feverfew. Ginger, also very helpful. Ginger is a vasodilator. It's also very anti-inflammatory. That could be another good nutrient or good herbal compound that we add in. Again, you don't have to do all of these, right? I'm just kind of laying it out. It's like you have all these tools, like you're a handyman, you're showing up to your house, right? You don't know what you got to do, but you just want enough tools so whatever they throw at you, you can get the job done. So same thing with a patient, right? You're going to look at their history. You're going to look at what they're dealing with, what's worked, what hasn't, where their diet and lifestyle is at. Maybe their diet's just a disaster. Maybe you don't have to do everything at once. Maybe you start with 2 or 3 things that would be considered low-hanging fruit and then go from there. And I see that works all the time. So you want to treat each person as an individual and try to go after the low-hanging fruit. All right, guys, it's Dr. J here. Hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, let me know. Put it in the comments. If you want to reach out and get more specific functional medicine support, there'll be links down below where you can reach out, justinhealth.com. Make sure you subscribe, get access to more of these live videos. I love the interaction, y'all. All right, guys, have a great day. Take care. Bye now.